I don't really know how to do this intro. I've just been kind of sitting here, just trying to figure it out. So, we're just going to get straight into this video pretty much. This video is going to be covering lost media that may or may not exist. This is lost media that has quite a few people actually corroborating its existence, however no substantial proof other than word of mouth, or I guess in this case typing on keyboard. So, we're just going to get straight into this. So, I thank you so much for watching the video, and yeah, let's go. There exist many commercials and advertisements on TV. These ads usually are archived or forgotten about. This goes for all media across the entire world. However, there is one TV commercial that has stuck out to lost media fans as one of the most famous. That is Hitogata. Hitogata, or translated to White Humans, is a supposed Japanese commercial that was released sometime in the 90s to 2000s. The search for this piece of media began all the way back in 2004 after a member of the Japanese message board 2chan described seeing a commercial, describing it as, "There was this terribly scary commercial, and I still have it constantly left in my memory. There were two white figures depicted against a black backdrop, and this noise going con kept ringing. What I'm sure of is the part that went every 2 seconds a man dies on Earth, and when the noise is repeated again, the other figure disappears. In the next instant, the human figure returns back to its original place, and now the other one disappears." It was a commercial with only that repeating over and over. People had said they recalled seeing something like it too. Some saying it was a school PSA, and others saying it was a TV commercial. Over time, there have been conflicting stories of what this commercial actually was. Some people described the location as being different and saying certain background elements may or may not have been present. People came across an even older message board on 2chan from 1999, which described this same commercial, saying, "There's this commercial with two monochrome people blinking on and off alternately, going pon pon." Among local PSA commercials, there's many I can't make sense of. This is basically where the search has stayed, however. Nothing has really come of this piece of lost media, and no major leads have been found. No stills, no little clips, no word of its existence other than some 2chan posts. Do I believe this is real? I do believe it is. However, it is a possibility that someone in 1999 came up with a sort of urban legend of some kind, posted it, people forgot about it, and then, later in 2004, somebody found it and added on to it. This is always a possibility, and might actually be what is happening, and this entire thing could just be a hoax. However, as of right now, we don't know. But it remains as one of the most mysterious and strange pieces of media that has popped up. Blame It on George did a great video on this subject, and I suggest you go watch it, and I'll leave a link to it in the description. In June of 1989, Video Games and Computer Entertainment, a video game selling company, released an issue of their Play It Again monthly magazine. In this magazine would be games and their prices, and you could call in or send in information on the games that you wanted to buy from these catalogs. Everything about it is fairly normal, except for one entry. That being, Yeah Beavis 1. This entry has baffled people, as no mention of this game's existence is anywhere outside of the June, July, August, and September 1989 catalogs. There was also one other time we saw this game in the October monthly issue of Funko Video Game Catalog. This one was, however, shortened to just Yeah Beavis 1. One thing people noticed about both of these is that, 1, the game didn't seem to exist anywhere, and 2, the game in both catalogs is incorrectly alphabetized. As of now, this is all the information we have on this. a random, seemingly non-existent game inside of these two game catalogs for only a couple months in a 1989 issue of a video game selling catalog. That is basically it. Many theories do exist on what this is. Some of the theories include it being a bad translation of a game that does exist called Rai Rai Jionshi's Baby Kaionshi no Amida Daiboken. I probably horrifically butchered that, and I apologize to everybody for having to listen to me say that. The theory is that this is a horrible mistranslation of Rai Rai Baby into the Yeah Yeah Beavis. Other than that though, it's just speculation, as the game that I mentioned was never seen outside of Japan. Another theory is that this Yeah Yeah Beavis 1 game is actually Super Pitfall 2. This is because a Reddit user had this to say. I had this discussion with an IRL friend of mine about making a Famicom Kusoge, and I decided to make one that would have been localized as Yeah Yeah Beavis 1, with the title being written in Japanese. So, I looked up Romaji for what I would assume would sound like a Bibe Su, and plopped it into Google Translate. It was translated as the Bibe. I decided to look up what Bibe meant, but the dictionary.com thought I meant Bibi. And behold, Bibi was the surname of an American explorer and naturalist, and I decided to piece things together. This was probably taken from the Roman numeral II as a typo, and the fact Baby was an explorer, maybe YYBI, turned out to be Super Pitfall 2. It's crazy, I know, but the truth is always stranger than fiction. This is, of course, most likely just a hoax, as this is Reddit, and that is a very long-winded explanation for something that admittedly doesn't make a ton of sense, but I figured I'd mention it. Other theories range from it being an inside joke amongst people who worked on the catalog, to it even being a copyright trap in case people were copying the catalog's entries. A phone call was made to Neil Levin, one of the founders of Play It Again, and he said in all likelihood this was a copyright trap. This would also make sense as to why it wasn't alphabetized correctly, as if people were copying from this catalog, they would simply copy and paste, and then, well, it would appear in the incorrect place. Either way though, we do not have a 100% confirmation as to what Yeah Yeah Beavis 1 actually is. So, what are my thoughts? Well, I believe it is one of two things. Either it is a horrible mistranslation of a Japanese game that never made it to the United States, or the other theory that I believe is the most likely one and probably is true, is that it was simply a copyright trap for people. Companies have copyright traps within their written media all the time. One of the more well-known of these was the New Oxford American Dictionary, adding a fake word to the dictionary named esquivalience, with a fake description of what the word was. This was to see if any other companies were copying the dictionary, as if other companies were copying this dictionary, they would have no excuse as to why the word esquivalience was in their book if they, well, weren't copying it. The same is probably true for Yeah Yeah Beavis 1, and in all likelihood, this doesn't exist in any form, and never did, outside of the words written in some game catalogs in the 1980s. Even if you don't play any video games, there is a strong likelihood you have heard of the Grand Theft Auto series. This game series is one of the most critically acclaimed and one of the highest selling game series to ever be released. The games have been criticized for their violent and graphic nature. However, this hasn't stopped the games from selling very well. These sales resulted in the series being put onto several different systems. However, in the early 2000s, one of the biggest consoles of the time was the Nintendo GameCube. The Nintendo GameCube did not receive any Grand Theft Auto games. There's a lot of speculation as to why this is, as well as the fact that there's this information. On April 28, 2003, a GameCube news website named GameCubicle would post an article saying that there were plans for these two games to release onto the GameCube console and that they were being ported. However, as we know now, this never came to be. The Grand Theft Auto games, of course, would never be on the GameCube in any way, and the reason this is lost media that might not exist is because the games were planned, and they did intend to make them for GameCube. The question is, how far did they get into development? And were they in a playable state on the GameCube? Maybe the games were considered too violent for Nintendo, and they didn't want them on the platform. If this is the case though, then they probably wouldn't have even gotten out of the talking stages, and therefore there would be no article made that there was any potential ports happening. The other theory is that the games were simply too big for the GameCube and its discs that it used. For those who don't know, the Xbox used 8GB DVDs for its games, and the PS2 used 4.7 and 8.5GB discs for its games. However, the GameCube used mini DVDs, which held only 1.5GB. Grand Theft Auto Vice City was estimated to be around 3GB on a PS2 disc. However, it was only around 1.2GB for the PSP version. So this begs the question, why didn't they release the PSP version onto the GameCube version and just make them work somehow? It's not really known why this was cancelled, as they had multiple ways around it. Either way though, it's a mystery how far these ports got into development, and if they did get far, did they have a playable version on the GameCube? April 15th, 1912. This is of course the day the Titanic sank, killing over 1,500 people with it. This would become probably the most well-known sinking of a ship in world history. At the time, it was considered the largest and most luxurious ship in the entire world. The ship saw its construction begin on March 31st of 1909, and it would be finished exactly 3 years later on March 31st, 1912, and it would sink a little over 2 weeks later. The Titanic was pretty much the most famous thing for its time. Everybody from everywhere was talking about it, and because of this, it received a lot of press. Many pictures of the ship exist, and these can be found all over the internet. However, what about any videos of it? I mean, they had video cameras during the time, and while they were expensive to operate, this was something worth covering with video. So you would think there would be some more existing footage somewhere, especially given the fact they probably would have tried to have archived this footage. This is exactly what people, including James Cameron, thought, so he sought to find footage as he was making his Titanic movie. One of which he said was of the boat leaving the dock with the passengers waving on the back of the boat. Historians believed he was insane. However, he discovered the exact footage he was looking for. This was unfortunate for him, however, as unfortunately, the footage was not of the Titanic, and was instead of its older sister ship, the Olympic. In 2000, Stephen Baltimore would release a book named The Titanic and Silent Cinema. In this book, he would make the claim that several video clips had been created before the demise of the ship. These included laying the keel of the Titanic on March 31st, 1909, transport of Titanic's largest anchor in the world, circa 1911, launching the Titanic on May 31st, 1911, Titanic leaving Belfast Lock for Southampton on February 3rd, 1912. This is the only surviving footage of these that I've mentioned. And the Titanic at Southampton prior to her maiden voyage on April 10th, 1912. All except the one that I mentioned was surviving were supposed real footage that existed at some point and are known to have existed, or at least believed to have been known to have existed. However, only one of these survives, being the one you're seeing here. This video here shows the aforementioned surviving piece of video footage, and as of today, remains the only piece of video footage of the Titanic. And that is where we are at today. This is more or less just kind of a speculation as to why there isn't more video footage of the Titanic. I understand video degrades over time, but you would think, given the fact of just how notorious the Titanic was before and after its sinking, you would think people would have attempted to archive these things better. However, it does also seem very likely that these pieces of footage that Stephen Baltimore mentions probably were actually real and probably did exist in some form. So, do I believe that this footage exists? Unfortunately, I believe that all of these did exist. However, nowadays, they probably would have been completely destroyed by time. If somehow they aren't destroyed, and any of these pieces are in someone's private archive somewhere, that would just be monumentally impressive and strange that nobody has come forward to show them. The most likely thing is that these tapes probably got thrown away by someone a very long time ago. In any case, let me know if you think these exist in any form at all, or if they are completely lost to time. Alright everybody, I thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. This video took a long time to make just because I have some things going on in my day-to-day life that's slightly holding me back from being able to make these videos as quickly. However, I'm still hoping that it came out to good quality and that you all enjoyed the video. For the foreseeable future, my videos will probably come out at a slightly more delayed rate than what they normally have been, but I still hope that you will enjoy them, and I hope that you'll come back to watch them. I thank you so much for the milestone of, at this point, hitting 4,000 subscribers. It means so much to me that I could have so many people who just enjoy my videos and continue to wish to watch them. I thank you so much. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as it truly does help out the channel. With all of that being said, I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, so I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.